Village of Sonoma Valley is a part of a statewide and a national movement of villages starting in the mid-1990s in Boston. The village movement has expanded throughout the United States. There are more than 350 villages throughout the country and more than 50 in the state of California. Actually, what's going around right now is a sign-in sheet. If you would sign in for us, that would be great. The village model is based on a model of neighbors helping neighbors, finding ways to connect and create community, to provide a sense of purpose and meaning in our older years. Just because we retire doesn't mean that human development stops. We continue to grow, we continue to have purpose, and it's our job to find meaning and purpose and to make life worth living all the way through. We have two programs in our pocket. The first is our Good Neighbor program. It's a program of volunteers helping their neighbors do little things. Maybe it's taking out the garbage can or something like just checking in with a phone call once a week or once a month, just to make sure everything's okay. Our second program is our Community Resource Navigator. The Navigator helps people find the services that they need. Our valley has over 110 nonprofit organizations providing services, many of those services specifically geared towards older adults. Yet only 20% of older adults use those services. So our Navigator, you can access that Navigator through our helpline, and the information is on the flyers at either door. But that Navigator will help you to identify what services you need, who provides the best services for those needs, and introduce you to those folks so that if you need a ride to Kaiser in Santa Rosa, or you need a ride to Davis to go to a doctor's office, there are services here in town that can provide that through Fish, for example, free of charge. That's pretty amazing. So we try to make you aware, keep you informed, keep you secure, and keep you engaged in our community so that you can remain safe in your homes longer. So today, we're here to talk about Medicare fraud, which is all about information and informing you, which is one of our key charters. So we've brought in Frank Nelson from HICAP. Have you heard of HICAP?
No.
Nope. It stands for Health Insurance Counseling and Advocacy Program. And Frank is, it comes to the program from a background as a skilled nursing facility, administrator, excuse me. He learned through that experience there, he learned the many complexities of Medicare, and over 17 years, he left the nonprofit world, excuse me, the for-profit world to join the nonprofit statewide program of HICAP. And now he oversees the program that serves 6 counties of the North Bay region in partnership with the Area Agency on Aging and the California Department of Aging. North Bay HICAP serves as the key source of unbiased, face-to-face guidance and community education seminars concerning increasingly complicated Medicare choices. So we're very, very fortunate to have such an expert here with us today. You'll notice that we are also working online. We have people joining us through Zoom who were not able to attend in person. So we have people from all over the state joining us today. So thank you and welcome, Frank. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Eric, thank you so much for that introduction, and welcome to each of you as we talk about a topic that impacts each of us throughout every day. and throughout every day, because how many times does your phone ring with these numbers you don't recognize, with these car warranty updates, with your bank that's not your bank? We are inundated, and the world is a changing place. Now, with something as important as your health care, your body changes over time, and where in our young years healthcare was maybe a secondary thought, for me, over time, it takes on more importance. And when we talk about healthcare, specifically Medicare, it is complex, as I'm sure you know. And in understanding your Medicare, your healthcare, you better understand some of the challenges that you're faced with as people and the crooks are trying to take advantage of your health care and gain information to use against your health care benefits. So today we are going to talk about several components specifically focused on the, give me just one moment. And let me check that we are good. All right. So, oh, there we go. Okay. Let me check this. Okay, good. So when we go through this topic, there are some areas that we're going to cover specifically related to protecting yourself, detecting fraud. It's got even more complicated to detect potential crooks. And of course, we're going to talk specifically about some of the scams to be aware of and to think about. So the question was asked earlier, SMP, what is SMP? Well, it is a nonprofit program that specifically deals with Medicare fraud. There are many kinds of fraud, but when it comes to Medicare, that's a very specific target that is very lucrative. And subsequently, this program is a nationwide program that works with each state and has local liaisons. So the HICAP program, which I will get into in a moment, is a liaison for senior Medicare patrol. So as someone suspects Medicare fraud, they can call HICAP. We will go into some detail, and then if it seems to be fraud, we will connect with SMP, who will then run with that with their investigators and so forth to determine if there is fraud and deal with it. SMP also offers grants to community partners such as the Village. And that's why we're thankful that Eric has been able to put this together with SMP to bring me in to educate you to some of these pieces. HICAP, as Eric mentioned, is the Medicare Health Insurance Counseling and Advocacy Program. Now, many of you recognize this book. You've seen this one before? Maybe it's holding your door open. Maybe it's buried in a pile, or maybe you got circular filed somewhere. So, for many people, when they want to understand their Medicare, or when they have a problem with their Medicare, maybe they're turning 65 and don't understand the 26 Part D drug plans, the 29 companies selling 10 Medigap supplemental plans. In Sonoma County, the 25 Medicare Advantage plans. All of those complexities can be overwhelming, and to be able to turn to a truly unbiased source that doesn't sell anything is truly an important partner and program that Eric was mentioning. There are so many people that don't understand some of the services available, and specifically when it comes to Medicare, you have HICAP as a resource spread throughout the whole state, in fact, the whole country. But our region of HICAP is the 6 counties, Sonoma being one of them. So HICAP does 2 things. One, individual one-on-one counseling. So when you have a problem, or you have an issue, or you want to understand, you can actually set an appointment with a HICAP counselor in your community to get help, to get understanding, to get advocacy, which is the A in HICAP. So that's one thing HICAP does, is individual one-on-one counseling. The second thing is educational seminars. Once again, where can you learn about Medicare? Well, you can read this book, 131 pages of it, and I know you've all read it cover to cover, right? Yes, yes, he has. His nose is growing. You, of course, can call 1-800-MEDICARE, but the challenge is sometimes getting through and getting the answer from someone who is in a call center. You, of course, can go on Medicare.gov, and that is a very comprehensive resource of a drop down of a drop down of a drop down of a drop down of another drop down. Or of course you can turn to an insurance agent. But you're aware that an insurance agent sells specific Medicare related products and receives compensation from the one plan that they represent. So that's where HICAP is that source for individual counseling, educational seminars. All we do is Medicare, and we are the technical experts, which is why when you go to Social Security, 9 times out of 10 they will say, we're not Medicare, go talk to HICAP to understand what we're trying to share with you, and then come back to us and we will hand you the form. You can hand us the form, we can look at the system, but we are not Medicare, says Social Security. Now, I bet you didn't know that you already had HICAP's phone number, because on the back of every Medicare and You book is the phone number. And when you call that, you reach our regional office in Petaluma, where we set appointments, where we work with all the counselor schedules that are spread throughout the 6 counties to get you the help you need. And if you want to write this down, on the brochure you will see our website, where you can look to find out seminars on various Medicare topics that might be happening in surrounding communities or in your community here in Sonoma throughout the year. So if you don't have the HICAP brochure, you're welcome to grab it on the way out. But let's talk briefly about SMP and get into today's topic. Protect. You know, if I said, would you lend me your credit card? You'd probably say, well, no, of course not. Do you typically just leave your credit card laying around on tables, and when you go to a store, you leave it laying around? You really don't. Your Medicare card is that important. That number on the Medicare card is gold to the people that want to use your Medicare to build thousands of dollars, and you're going to hear about instances. So I'm going to be talking about protecting your card and specific things to be aware of. When and how do you find out if there's Medicare fraud? I'll be sharing some things with you so you have a better idea of where to look, what to look for in identifying whether you're a victim of Medicare fraud. And lastly, what do you do if you think there has been fraud And that's where SMP is a resource with the phone number you see there. But we'll talk more about that in detail. But first, your Medicare card. Recently, you received a new card in the last couple of years. Question for you. What was the number that was on your Medicare card years ago?
Social Security.
Social Security. Let's see. What can happen if someone gets a hold of your Social Security number as a crook? All sorts of bad things. So Medicare finally realized, you know, we need to change Medicare cards to a big long number like you'd find on your credit cards and so forth. So they issued new Medicare cards. Now the challenge, the crooks are always looking for something to capitalize on. There's new cards. Let's see, what can we come up with related to cards? Because as they take that number, the way Medicare works is there are billing codes. If you have a shoulder surgery, there's a specific code for the surgery, the pieces, the equipment, all these on a bill have codes. And each of those codes have dollar amounts associated with them. So as they come up with this bill and they submit it to Medicare, Medicare looks through and says, is this a provider that's contracted with us? Is this a treatment that we cover? If so, send the check back to the provider that submitted the bill. Sadly, there are providers who are also crooks. Specifically, imagine this instance, and this individual, I was going to say gentleman, but that is not the case, who decided cancer was a very lucrative diagnosis with all of the pieces and thousands of dollars of reimbursement, and collected $17 million in reimbursement for all of his false diagnoses. This is just one instance of many as we look at the whole chain of individuals who are involved, from the person who is chatting with you either on the phone, maybe at a booth at some event, who then gives the information to someone who's a middleman who's keeping track of all of these, who is then giving the information to their processing center, who is then going out and finding the doctors, the providers who are willing to sign off things for hundreds of dollars for each signature. So, you know, we step back and we think, yes, I'm a Medicare beneficiary, and it is a difficult world out there. And yeah, I have a responsibility, but, you know, do I really have a part in this, and why should I care? Well, the answer is Medicare is your health care. If we're each not doing our part in protecting these numbers, and it's easier for crooks to get a hold of this, and so they're billing more, everyone loses. Fraud impacts all of us. So let's look at some of the current trends when we talk about medical equipment. Braces, knee braces, elbow braces, back braces, things like hospice, end of life. Companies that bill Medicare and have found that billing Medicare and starting a hospice company can be very lucrative. There are scams about the new Medicare cards, and of course, they're all TV commercials. There's agents that maybe are unscrupulous, and one of the big ones is the genetic testing. So let's talk about the medical equipment scam. Ring, ring. Hello. Hi, I'm calling and I am calling through a service that is offering free braces. Did you know that your Medicare covers braces at no charge to you? Oh, well, I wasn't aware of that. Well, yes. You know, do you ever have back pain? Raise of hands if any of you have back pain or shoulder pain or elbow pain or knee pain or leg pain or foot pain. Or yes, all the hands are up, mine included. Oh, you have back pain and neck pain. Well, you know Medicare covers braces. You know, what is your height? What is your age? And I see that you live in Sonoma. That's right. That's correct, right? Oh, yes. And your age? Oh, it is so and so. Oh, and how long have you lived there? Because where I'm calling from, it's kind of rainy. Is it warm there? Because you're in California. Oh, yeah, it's actually quite a nice day out. Yesterday we had some rain and we were just like, and oh, it's so fine. Oh, you're there in Cincinnati. I have an uncle that lives in Cincinnati. I wonder how things are there. But oh, yes, back to the... So, you know, Medicare provides a free top-of-the-line knee brace at no cost to you. You know, do you have a knee brace? Oh, I don't have a knee brace. Oh, this would be so helpful and so beneficial to you. And again, there is no cost to you because Medicare covers it. So does that sound like it would be helpful to you? Because I would be glad to send it to you in the mail. And of course, you'd get it probably in 4 days. I tell you what, let me try and send it and expedite it. You'll get it in 2 days. So let's proceed. If you'll grab your Medicare card, what are the last 3 digits of your Medicare card? Oh, I see. Well, tell you what, if you could just verify the whole number, all I need are the last 3 numbers of your card. But if you would just verify the numbers for me, that would be great. Oh, yeah, well, perfect, thank you. And your last name I see is such and such, and your address, I know you're there in Sonoma. Aren't you on the street that is just, oh, what's your address? So what happens? In some instances, sure enough, there's a box that shows up on your doorstep. We had one instance where a lady fell prey to this scam, had given them all the information, had a wonderful chat with the person, and started receiving boxes and boxes. And she said, my neighbors must have thought I was an invalid. There were knee braces and back braces and elbow braces and chest braces and all these things. What do you think the crooks were doing? You ever looked at a bill how much a knee brace is reimbursed? How much can you buy a knee brace for at the pharmacy? I don't know, $12, $15 for one of those elastic knee braces. Medicare reimburses over $100 for that knee brace that the doctor orders. Wait a minute, the doctor orders. How did a doctor get in this mix? They had one in their back pocket that they said, hey doc, we know you might be struggling or you want a little under the table cash, because we pay in cash. We'll pay you $500 for every signature. Would you sign these? 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500. There you go. 500 for each signature, and for one individual, they billed Medicare $100 and some for this brace, and $200 for this brace, and $500 for this brace, and they made a pretty good hauling on the medical equipment. You ever get those postcards in the mail that you're kind of wondering, is this real? So what do you do when you get something like that? Well, the first answer is turn to a friend. You know, save a few of them up going, this seems too good to be true. Ah, that's your first indication. If it seems too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So many times talking with a friend, you know, I got this thing in the mail. What, does this seem legitimate to you? And they read it and they go, yeah, no, when you look at this line, it's not even spelled right. Oh, I didn't notice that, but oh boy, I was so close to thinking, oh, this sounds great. Special notice, Medicare and insurance information. Delivery, only call toll free, 1-800. Our office is trying to reach you regarding your eligibility for a Medicare and insurance covered back and knee support brace. The status is pending immediate pain relief. Yeah, sounds a little fishy to me. But they send these things out, and when you send out 45,000 of these, even if you get 1,000 of them back, that's some pretty good money when you're playing the odds of let's just blanket and see what comes back, and then we can call these individuals and follow up with them. Even TV commercials. You too can get a free back brace, but wait, there's more. You've heard them. If something is free, it's probably too good to be true. Maybe there's an instance, you're coming out of Target, you're coming out of a store, and someone comes up and says, you know, we are in the process of talking with people and letting you know, and they seem very nice and very approachable, let you know that you're eligible for a free brace that Medicare is covering right now. Perhaps you get a knock on your door. Hi, we just letting people know in this community that Medicare is offering a new benefit for no charge. Perhaps somewhere along the way, maybe braces start showing up. Somehow they got your Medicare number. Maybe you left your card somewhere or somehow they got access. There are many different ways in which they do this scam. Maybe you call that 1-800 number to their call center, and their call center has a doctor that they pay. And then they have an equipment company that is also billing fraudulently. These are sophisticated networks that unfortunately are going after the system. So how does one identify if perhaps there is fraud on your Medicare account? The answer is the MSN. Now, each of you get this Medicare summary notice quarterly. Many times you get it in the mail. You're familiar with it. Maybe some of you have signed up through Medicare to get it electronically, so you can log in and quarterly you can see your Medicare summary notice. So what is that notice? It is a summary of what Medicare has paid on your behalf. And in this instance, we see that an item was approved, an ankle foot orthosis, plastic or other material with ankle joint prefabricated, includes fitting. For the left side, code number L1971LTKX. The amount the supplier charged, $554. Medicare doesn't always pay what they ask for, but the approved amount for that left foot ankle brace thing was $454. There was a heel stabilizer for the right side. I mean, just think, you're strapping on this thing and then you got the other on your right foot. That was $98. An ankle foot orthotic other material for the right side. So now you've got this on the left foot, you've got this on the right thing, you've got a heel thing on the right foot. Look at how much the total was for just that claim. They got $1,000 for left ankle, right heel. That's pretty lucrative. And as you look down, you go, wait, knee orthosis, single upright thigh and calf with adjustable flexion and extension. So there's a knee brace too. And they got $169. Oh wait, there's a suspension sleeve on the right side. They got $245. There's a right side knee that they got $869. Can you visualize what kind of situation you'd look like with all these braces that, well, you might not need? Here's the challenge. So now it's a year later. Your knee, the ligaments, you've been having some problems, but eventually it really got bad and you need a knee replacement. So now you go in for surgery. And of course, after surgery, they say, the hospital says, we're going to have to get you a knee brace. And they go, oh, we can't get you a knee brace. Medicare says they already issued a knee brace and paid for a knee brace, and you should have a knee brace. Of course, the crooks don't always send the things to your doorstep. They just bill for it. So you never got anything. We have had instances through SMP in which a person needed a wheelchair. And according to Medicare's records, Medicare had already issued them a wheelchair, which they said, I've never got a wheelchair. The scammers had ordered a wheelchair, several $100s, the most expensive wheelchair you could think of. And now when this person needed a wheelchair, a specialized wheelchair, sorry, Medicare only replaces wheelchairs at certain intervals after several years. So that's some of the liability, but your Medicare summary notice, I would encourage you to go down and see, does this all match up? Did I have a knee surgery and need the knee brace? Yes, I did. And it related to an ankle brace on that same, yes, it did. Are there things on there that make sense or not? Let's talk about hospice. Hospice is a wonderful service. As we end near the end of our lives and the doctor says, things are declining and perhaps only 6 months to be with us, hospice contracts with Medicare, and there are many different hospice companies, and hospice can come in, and now you have a doctor that is very focused on end of life, because many doctors' focus is, let's get you better. I don't think you want a doctor who's ordering physical therapy for you and treadmills and so forth when it's clear there's about 6 months left in this world. So they have a doctor that focuses more on comfort, on making sure whatever is going on is from a different perspective. There's a social worker involved that maybe, the brother who is not willing to accept is in complete denial and says, we should order physical therapy. And really just needs to power through it because it's just, we know it, but a social worker that can sit down and say, let's talk about it. There are nurses that are specially trained in different things related to end of life. That team descends to be that support as hospice. So it's very lucrative because Medicare pays hospice a flat rate for all those services. So companies have come into being that are really shell companies. She and I start XYZ hospice company, and we go out and we try and gather Medicare numbers to be able to bill Medicare for those hospice services. Like it says, beware of presentations, calls, or unannounced visits by hospice companies offering additional Medicare benefits, such as help with cooking and cleaning. What does it say there? Does Medicare pay for cooking and cleaning, yes or no? No, Medicare does not pay for cooking and cleaning. So be aware. There are good hospice companies out there. And again, talk with friends, talk with providers. Free hospice services are a risk to your health. Once again, look at how much a hospice company was able to receive for 20 visits. $4,000. The amount Medicare paid was actually $4,270 for visits that never happened by this scam hospice company. In Pasadena, this doctor was ordered to pay 4 years in prison for falsely certifying patients as terminally ill so that this hospice company could bill, saying, oh yes, yes, they're very ill, near end of life. Here's the one that I wanted to touch briefly on. What is your credit card made out of? Paper? No, it's made out of what? Plastic. What is your Medicare card made out of? Paper. Does Medicare issue plastic cards? Yes or no? No. But wait, does everybody know that? Not necessarily. And the crook said, hey, let's call people and say, by the way, ring, ring, hello, were you aware that Medicare is issuing new plastic cards like the credit cards so they don't get torn and lost and stained in your purse and wallet? So we're calling to verify. Could you give me the last 3 digits of your Medicare so we can verify it in our system? Because this is Medicare calling. Will Medicare ever call you on the phone? No, not unless you have called them and they are working with you. But just out of the blue, you're right. Medicare will not call you on the phone. There are no plastic Medicare cards. So if someone calls or says, oh, we're going to be issuing a plastic Medicare card, what do?
Yeah.
Click. You have the power to hang up. You know, we want to be polite. We want to be, no, I'm sorry, I don't. Just hang up. There are certain things that are rather obvious. This is one of them, is someone trying to offer you a plastic Medicare card. So I've shared with you some of the important pieces related to that card. Guard it like you would your credit card. You know, what do you need your Medicare card for at the grocery store?
Yeah, cute.
Yeah. What do you need it for at the hardware store? What do you need it for at the tire store? When's the time that you need your Medicare card? When you're typically at the doctor's for the first time. Because once you're there, then they have that on record, and do they need it every single time? Well, no. So don't carry that paper Medicare card with you. Because if someone steals your wallet, if you drop your wallet, if you pull something out of your wallet or your purse and a few things go fluttering away, including your Medicare card, don't carry it with you. Take it only to your medical appointments, and of course, always give your Medicare card to a stranger. Wait, is that what it says? What does it say? Never give your Medicare number to a stranger. That seems obvious, but strangers can seem very engaging, very friendly. Don't give your Medicare number to a stranger. So sometimes there are agents who get on board with the crooks and they enroll you into plans without your permission. Sometimes they share information simply to get you to enroll in the plan they represent. Like I said, when we talk about Medicare, there's Part A, your inpatient coverage. Part B, your outpatient coverage. That's your Medicare. Now, once you have your Medicare, you have a decision to make. Which way do you want your Medicare? Because one way is called original Medicare, that you add a separate standalone Part D drug plan. And this year, there are 26 Part D drug plans ranging in premium from $4.50 a month all the way up to $160 a month. They have different deductibles from $0 over $500. They have different formularies. In other words, the pills they cover, because not every plan of the 26 covers every pill. And further, each plan negotiates different copays with each pharmacy down the street. So not only which plan you choose, but which pharmacy you go pick it up at has a huge bearing on how much you'll pay when you add it up at the end of the year. If you have original Medicare and you add a drug plan, you also add a supplement product called a Medigap plan. There are 29 companies that sell 10 Medigap plans. It's a product like life insurance, car insurance, home insurance, Medigap insurance that agents sell. And those premiums can range as much as $100 a month, different for the exact same plan. So agents sometimes offer free trips and meals to sign up into the Medigap plan they represent of the 29 companies. Maybe you have your Medicare the other way, not original, but through a managed care plan called an Advantage plan, an HMO, a PPO in Sonoma County. This year, because every year everything changes, so this year in Sonoma County there are 25 Medicare Advantage plans to choose from. Kaiser, Western Health Advantage, SCAN, Aetna, United Health. That's just the way it's structured.
Every year?
Every year that changes. Last year there were 23. So every year it's important to check what's changing and what's best for your health and what's best for your pocketbook. And that's where HiCap is that source to be able to sit with someone to understand what the best option is for your pocketbook and for your health, and that you're not paying too much. But know that agents represent a company, and they want you to purchase Medicare pieces from the company they represent. And sometimes some agents are a little unscrupulous and don't mention things, and suddenly it's the new year, you have a new plan, and you can't see your doctor. So sadly, there are instances out there. Let's talk briefly about genetic testing. Question for you. Does Medicare cover genetic testing? Yes or no?
No.
Wrong answer. Medicare does cover genetic testing.
Why?
Only if you have a specific disease that is very complex, you are in the middle of treatment, and one of the protocols of that specialized form of cancer is to have a very specialized and expensive genetic test done to determine pieces of that specific cancer diagnosis that must be addressed for that specific kind of cancer. So when crooks and other people call and say, you know, were you aware that Medicare covers genetic testing? No, I wasn't. Yes, they do. At no cost to you, you can get genetic testing. Well, it's true. Medicare does cover genetic testing, but the rest of the story is only if you have a certain type of cancer and you are very deep in treatment at a specialized center for that specific kind of cancer. But of course they don't mention that, and they find people, they get your Medicare number, then they bill for that testing. When you look at your Medicare summary notice and you notice, well, wait a minute, what is this genetic testing thing? I got some little kit And probably they sent you some generic kit that they got for $3 from somewhere. You sent in the swabs and they just threw it in the garbage. Because all they wanted to do was bill. They don't care about testing. Look at how much they made. This is a lucrative business, and sadly, people capitalize on that. And they will do things like an ice cream social. Come join us Tuesday at 11 o'clock and get a free piece of pie and learn more about Medicare covering genetic testing. Promises of personalized medicine. They're coming around the table. It's clearly non-medical personnel that are helping you take the swab in your cheeks or up in your nose. Craigslist. You think Medicare is going to advertise on Craigslist of some free, no-charge tests? Red flag. That's probably a dead giveaway. So we talked about different kinds of fraud, and I'll touch on a few things here. So detecting the fraud. Like I said, your Medicare summary notice, here's 3 things to look for. Something you didn't get. Well, all those braces, I never received any braces. Maybe something was billed twice and you're like, wait a minute, that's a lot of money. I think I saw that on the last statement. It looks like this was billed twice. Something's fishy. And of course, services that weren't ordered by your doctor. You know the doctors that you've dealt with. And suddenly you see an odd doctor in there that, you know, that's not related to anything. Red flag. Now, many times you get the Medicare summary notice by mail. You can also go on to your mymedicare.gov and sign up to get it electronically, or you create an account in mymedicare.gov and you can see in real time all the things that have been billed against your Medicare number. So that's another way of taking a look. So common healthcare scams. You too can get a free healthcare screening. Be aware. Counterfeit prescription drugs. You know, you can go to your pharmacy, but you can get discounted, and it's available this Thursday at a special site. Licensed agents presenting information about plans that don't actually offer some of the things that the plan should offer. Some other scams, home health. You know, Medicare only covers what's called skilled care. In other words, those services that are only able to be provided by a licensed nurse, a licensed therapist, a doctor. At the point that you no longer need skilled care, Medicare says we're done. Now, if you need things like help getting dressed, getting up in the morning, those things don't necessarily need a licensed registered nurse or a licensed physical therapist to help you with. Typically, it's a caregiver. That's called custodial care. And home health companies offer custodial care, but beware, typically, only under certain circumstances does Medicare cover home health. And that's where you will many times see that, well, we will provide home health and help with cooking and cleaning. Let's see. Does it take a licensed nurse to help you with cooking and cleaning? So would Medicare cover home health that helps with cooking and cleaning? No. Red flag, something to be aware of. There's, of course, non-healthcare related scams. You've heard of the grandparent one. Hello, Grandma. Grandma, this is Johnny. Johnny, let's see. Grandchild, 1, 2, 3. Johnny. Yeah, Johnny. How are you? Oh, Grandma, I'm not doing good at all. You know, don't tell Mom, don't tell Dad, please, but threw me in jail and I need money to get out, but please don't tell my parents. But, you know, well, Johnny, oh, okay, are you okay? Well, I don't know, kind of, but I'm scared. Oh, no, Johnny. Well, how much do you need? Well, don't tell my parents. Okay, I won't tell them. Well, I need $560 to get bailed out. Okay, well, all right. Well, where do I send it? Let's see. Do you have any grandkids that are named that? Maybe the name that the crooks use, but should you be sending cash or things places you don't recognize? Because they get you all hyped up emotionally. Grandma, Grandma. You heard this one. This is the IRS calling. It has come to our attention that you are owing $8,000 in back taxes. For immediate help to rectify this, please call this number. We will reach out to you. If not, we will be making the authorities aware in the next week, and they will be showing up your door for this unpaid debt to the IRS. You get that call? I got one the other day. Ah, you rotten crooks. Click. So SMP does not take reports about non-Medicare scams. Grandparent scam, that's not related to Medicare. The IRS scam, your car warranty extension scam. SMP is available for Medicare-related instances, but not some of these others. You can call or get on the National Do Not Call Registry. Now, of course, the crooks are smart enough to get around things. So, unfortunately, there's no one-stop shop that if you sign up, all the calls will stop from the crooks. But it can't hurt to get signed up with some of them, so some of the calls at least get stopped. And one of those sources is the National Do Not Call Registry managed by the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. So you can call that number, you can give them your phone number, and they will flag it in the system so as it's trying to be hit by the crooks, maybe they won't get through. And you'll hopefully get a few less calls. So when it comes to Medicare, HICAP is your source to get help with your benefits. If your benefits have been compromised and you suspect fraud, SMP is the source you can turn to see if there's indeed fraud. You can call HICAP because we're a liaison, but you can also reach out to Medicare at that number that you see there, 855-613-7080. There is the HICAP information. It's a statewide number. And when you call it, it looks at your phone and the area code and it routes you to the nearest HICAP. So you can call that number. You can go on our website, senioradvocacyservices.org/HICAP. And there you can see the different seminars that are going on related to Medicare that we offer. You can set an appointment with a counselor in your community easily on there.
Are these numbers on your calendar?
I don't know. I know that they are on the HICAP brochure, and there are also SMP brochures because we're two different organizations. But the HICAP number is here. The SMP number is on the SMP brochure that is at the table. So I encourage you to grab those on the way out. Keep those handy. And if you forgot, of course, there you go. It's there too. So with that, I would like to take your questions. What can I answer for you? Anyone? Yes.
I just got out of an assisted living I just got out of an assisted living facility,
Okay.
and one of the things that it was worse than jail.
Okay.
Not that I've been in jail so many times, but it was worth it. But the thing that really got me was that I jumped through all their hoops, signed all their papers to get out, and then they wouldn't let me get out. They said, you need permanent oxygen.
Okay.
And I said, yes, I have a piece of equipment at home in the garage.
Okay.
Well, no, we have to see it and see it installed and see it working.
Okay.
Before we let you out.
Okay.
And I go, well, nobody will find it in the garage because it's buried.
Sure.
And then, so they signed all these papers and weeks go by. They won't let me out. And finally I got frustrated and I bought a machine.
Okay.
I had it directly sent to the facility.
Okay.
So that I could say, there's the machine, you saw it, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
They held it hostage for a week.
Okay.
Then, when I had it up to here, packed, I was just gonna leave.
Okay.
Get my machine and go. They said, if you do this, you'll never get into another facility, blah, blah, blah. I then started hauling it out and they said, we'll sign you off, but you have to have a, bear with me, my oxygen, I do need oxygen. You need a, not a nebulizer, but basically a water bottle on it.
Okay, sure.
And I went, wait a second.
Yeah.
Went back to my room on my wheelchair, got the bottle off the
Okay.
same exact damn machine,
Okay.
came back and said, there,
So let me explain some of the details.
okay?
So assisted living is not skilled nursing. So I'm guessing that Medicare did not cover your stay, but it did cover
I
some
don't know.
pieces.
See,
Okay,
something
all right.
that-
Check your Medicare summary notice. Now, when it comes to a facility releasing, of course, there's liability. They just can't say, okay, go, and then the headlines in the paper, man passes away because facility didn't insure medical equipment and there was problems with the one that he had, and then they're being sued. So there's some of that. But again, when we talk assisted living, it's typically there's services that are provided through nurses that visit, through therapists that visit, but typically Medicare does not cover assisted living. That's called custodial. So there are some nuances there that, you know, are typically, it sounds like it's related to safety. They had the responsibility legally to make sure that anyone discharged with medical issues had the equipment they need, and they're on the hook. And they can't go, well, if you say you've got equipment, yep, we'll see ya. We live in a litigious world and there's some liability. Does that mean it should take that long? Well, probably not. But unfortunately, in that instance, the recourse would not be to talk and get advocacy from HICAP because it wasn't Medicare related and it wasn't fraud related to SMP. You could call the licensing the community care licensing of assisted living, but that would be your recourse if you had some issues.
I'm saying it wrong because I do know that they did, because I was there for months.
Okay.
Skilled nursing.
Oh, it was skilled nursing. Well, that's different than assisted
Well, see,
living.
there's the thing, because I was there for months. I was there for months.
Okay.
Namely, I went to four
Sure.
different facilities over a period of time. And it's something that this last one, not only the oxygen thing, but then, well, what about your emergency oxygen? What about your, and I'm just going.
Well, what I would say is I'm going to take some other questions, but I'd be glad to go into
could you
and
please?
talk with you
Just for a
afterwards.
second, yeah.
Sure, sure, absolutely. What else? I saw a question up here. We'll get the microphone.
You said we get a monthly medical summary notice in the mail?
Quarterly.
Quarter?
Quarterly, Medicare sends out So the question related to not recognizing the Medicare summary notice, Medicare typically sends that out quarterly in the mail. And for some people who have maybe made a portal on the Medicare website, then it is being sent there and you can log in to see it rather than them printing it and mailing it in the mail.
I don't recall ever seeing such a thing in the mail.
Okay, okay.
So,
What you could do is call 1-800-Medicare and say, you know, I don't recall seeing a Medicare summary notice. What does your system show? And they'd be able to take a look and see if indeed, or maybe, have you moved in the last few years?
no.
No, okay, so it's not an address thing. But I would call Medicare and find out, where is that being sent? Because that, as you became aware, that's an important piece of your Medicare and what's being billed to your Medicare.
I have another question, but maybe
Sure,
somebody
no,
else
go
has
ahead,
a turn.
go ahead.
I'm embarrassed to say, I have no clue where my Medicare card might be, or my
Okay.
wife's card.
Okay.
Can we get a new issue from Medicare?
You can. And in fact, if you go to our HICAP website, on the website are 5 green buttons. Now again, the agency is Senior Advocacy Services that has 3 programs. HICAP is one of those programs. So you go to the HICAP page of the website and 5 green buttons, and one of them says Medicare Resources. And as you click that button and you go down, you'll see where you can get a new Medicare card, and it will walk you through the steps to do that. And now, because it's that big long number, it's a lot easier to get that card reprinted. So again, our website is a good resource.
Great, thank you.
Whom else? Any Medicare related questions? It's your opportunity. Oh, I'm going to go to the back and then I will take your drug question. Yes.
It's not really a question,
Okay.
but I just wanted to share my experience that in November, I signed up for a new health insurance plan.
Okay.
And I thought, you know, I don't want to go with an agent. They just rattle on and on and on forever.
Okay.
I'm going to use Medicare this year.
Okay.
So I went online and then I, signed up and with someone on the phone from Medicare. It was all fine until January comes along. They didn't, I missed this detail. I asked that my premium would be taken out of my Social Security check.
Okay.
January comes along and there's no deduction. I thought, okay, well, I'll give them a month. Maybe, it's going to take them time. Well, April, this month, they took out 4 months of premiums. I thought, oh my God, I was just, I was, to me, I'm on a tight budget.
Sure.
That was devastating. And I thought, I can't believe that it took them 6 months to do this. And I thought, oh my God. So I kept calling every month. United Healthcare, Social Security. United Healthcare, Social Security. It's like, it was very rattling, very stressful. So I don't advise anyone. I mean, be prepared if you, have a nice, huge amount, on hand, because it takes, forever.
So the takeaway from that is, in that instance, even though you know it should be deducting, deduct it yourself and tuck it away. Because this instance, you're right, you're expecting so much each month, and suddenly they take 4 months worth. That is a lot.
Yeah.
So here's the important part. Remember I said every year everything changes? There's a certain time frame every year to decide, well, how's my health? And what is going to be the most advantageous for my pocketbook, because these different plans are hundreds of dollars different. We help people do certain things. And in fact, just for the drug part, we helped an individual do a drug search. She was spending $1,000 a year more than she had to, just on a premium. She was paying $130, and instead it was the $13 a month plan that covered all her prescriptions. So every year, everything changes, and the time frame to review your Medicare and make decisions is October 15 through December 7. That's when Medicare publishes what's changing for the next year. And then whatever you decide takes effect January 1st. And again, that's where HICAP can truly be an unbiased source. So then when you're talking with agents, or you're talking with plans, or you're watching commercials with seniors running through fields of daisies, you'll at least have a better understanding so you can make more informed decisions about what's best for your health this next year and what's best for your pocketbook so you're not paying more than you have to for the coverage related to your specific health situation.
I
So,
did have another question,
okay.
not related to Medicare, but I noticed that my driver's license,
Uh-huh.
it says restriction lens.
Yeah.
Now, in my understanding, it means, do I need glasses to drive?
Right.
Which I do not.
Oh,
So how to correct that?
DMV. I don't know.
You know,
that's a
is there
DMV
resource?
thing.
Is there a resource that would help me through this?
No, you just have to go into the office.
Yeah, because my eye doctor, I brought it to her attention. She said, no, that's what it is. And I thought, no, it isn't. I need glasses to read, not to drive.
Well, you'd have to talk with the
So-
DMV and your optometrist, and
Okay,
of course,
go with those.
I had a similar experience, and to cure the problem, I had to go in and pass the eye test at the DMV. And after passing the eye test, they were willing to change my driver's license from restricted to unrestricted. But you will have to go in and pass an eye test.
there you go. There's your answer. Go into the DMV, get an eye test. They'll change your driver's license, and you'll be set to go. Good. Thank you for that. Yes,
morning.
question.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for this presentation. I
You're welcome.
just turned 65 in April, and I think maybe it was October, so like 6 months beforehand, I had so many phone calls from these
Oh, yes.
agencies that were, and it really drove me totally crazy. I got so mad, I just decided I was gonna sign up with somebody, and I'm with Kaiser, and so, oh yeah, you can go Kaiser. It was insane, and I really wished I would have known that HICAP could have helped me. Who funds you? How are you county, who funds you? You're nonprofit, but how do you get your funding?
He is paid. He is paid. She is paid. She is paid. You have paid. He is paid. We're funded by your tax dollars.
Oh, great, okay.
Through the Administration for Community Living that sends grant monies down through the Older Americans Act
Okay,
to each state, California Department of Aging, to locally the Area Agency on Aging, who holds the contract for the HICAP program. So it's kind of but it is publicly funded, which is why we don't sell anything. We are truly unbiased and can sit down and say, what's your situation? Here are your options.
Yeah.
Here's some things to consider. Here's all the technical things. So then you step away from that going, now I understand and I have a better idea of what the plans are, the 25, and which one might be best because my health, I need this or that. That's what HICAP does.
yeah, it's, what a great service. It's really
Thank you.
great.
Yes.
And thank you for having us.
All right. Part D question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Just the fact that I was put on a blood, not thinner, but a very expensive
Okay.
blood, Eliquis.
Yeah.
And it's $500 a month.
Mhm.
And yet I have several cousins that are high ups at Stanford Medical that question its,
Effectiveness.
yes.
Efficacy.
Yes, thank you. You have to bear with me. The oxygen,
No,
my short-term memory is,
that's all right.
but anywho, I've been on it for quite a while.
Okay.
And that January thing hit and whatever I was on. So I got on something.
Okay.
January 1st, boom, something quit because I was in the facility. Okay.
Yeah, it's billed differently and the facility has to pay for.
And, it's been a nightmare. But
Okay.
the gist of it is, I went from my regular doctor.
Yep.
Who actually gave me a stack of freebies.
Maybe a stack of freebies. Okay, that's a
That
good
was
source.
nice.
Okay. Sure.
A month and a half's worth.
Yeah.
But then the cardiologist, after he did the diagnosis on my heart that the regular doctor was concerned about, he goes, "You're going to be on it the rest of your life."
Okay.
And he immediately wanted me to get a 3-month prescription.
Supply, sure.
And since I still had all those freebies, but then I was outreaching to other medical people
Okay.
that are family that I was, and they are questioning the
Efficacy, yeah.
thank you.
So, yeah.
And so, but it's just something that I know that it was just pushed so heavily, and my pharmacy is pushing it.
Okay. Well, understand that when it comes to Medicare, what does Medicare know about healthcare? Nothing. Who knows something about healthcare? Your doctor. So that's where Medicare says the person that's managing your healthcare and who we listen to and rely on to order things is the doctor. So in answer to a prescription, the efficacy, in other words, how effective it is between you and your doctor. Understand that because every year everything changes, make sure and have a search done every year between October 15 and December 7 to make sure that not only is that prescription covered under the plan you choose, because not every plan covers that prescription, but also that you're not paying more than you need to for that prescription when there's a different plan that would cover it for less money. And once again, that's a service HICAP provides. Remember I said 5 green buttons? One of them is a Part D plan search. You click that button, you enter your medications, the dosages, list some pharmacies and hit submit. And then we do the heavy lifting of a search to send you back the 3 least expensive plans specific to your medications. So that's a service that is available. So
we have some questions on the
yes.
chat.
Let's see. Does Medicare cover second opinions? Hi, Tatiana. Good question. And in fact, Medicare provides a monthly help email. And they, you've heard of the newspaper column that would you could ask this person questions. Dear Abby, thank you. So it's Dear Marcy. And this, in fact, was one of the questions. Does Medicare cover second opinions? And the answer is under certain circumstances, Medicare does cover second opinions related to the specific instance. Now, here's the important part. Something to definitely remember. Here it is. The answer to every Medicare question is, it depends. The answer to every Medicare question is, it depends. So in asking the question, does Medicare cover second opinions? Well, it depends. Because a flat yes is not exactly accurate because it's only in certain circumstances that Medicare covers a second opinion. So understanding those pieces is, again, what HICAP does. I'm looking here to see if there are any additional questions, and that's the only one I see, unless there are some others.
Hey, are there any
The
questions on Zoom? Please feel free to
MSP
unmute yourself.
screening. So when we talk about SMP,
Oh, no, it's
SMP
Medicare's
or MSP?
MSP because of the
Medicare secondary
discussion.
payers?
No, Medicare Savings Program.
I'm gonna have,
Hey,
I
hey,
won't
Tatiana,
defer that
he
one.
actually can't hear you.
So I am gonna skip on that one. I think that's a little
You
bit
could
deeper.
write the question in the chat. That would be
Yeah. She was asking
Okay.
some questions through the Zoom because we have an audience out there participating also. But I will say that hopefully this has been helpful today in understanding pieces of your Medicare. Understand the importance of understanding your health care, knowing that there is a resource you can turn to. And as you understand your health care, you're better able to dissect some of the scams and some of the things that are coming at you, and know that there is an organization you can turn to if you suspect fraud. And that organization, of course, is Senior Medicare Patrol. And with that, I hope this has been helpful, and I'm glad you have joined today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Just one thing.
Oh, we have one last share.
I did get a call, well, we've gotten many.
Okay.
But I did get a call from my grandson, who had been, he was very embarrassed. He said he'd been in a fight and his nose was broken, and he just was so embarrassed. He thought he would probably commit suicide. And I said, well, please don't do that. And he said, oh, why? And I said, because you've got a lot more calls to make because I'm not giving you any money.
You've got a lot more calls to make. Wow. Good pull.
They have 13 children.
Well, so that's my example was for you then, thinking, yeah, it's a difficult world out there, and that's where, in understanding there are resources, there are people that you can turn to, is hopefully beneficial as we all weave our way through the complications. So, Eric.
I want to thank Frank. It was wonderful.
You're
Very
welcome.
informative. Yes. Before we go, I just want to say these seminars happen on a regular basis. You can hear Frank speak in a number of different places. The one thing that was important, one of the things that was important today was he said Medicare changes every year. If Medicare changes every year, so do the scams. Coming to one seminar is not going to last you a lifetime. Coming to one seminar will last you this year and maybe next year, but then the new scams come out. So you need to repeat coming to these, and we try to make them fun. We bring entertaining, handsome, great guys and people to do this. And, yes, but you do need to stay aware of these things, and you need to do it on a regular basis, unfortunately. But we're trying to provide those services to help you, and services that you can trust, and we'll do them as regularly as we possibly can. Okay? Thank you so much.